Do you have a little one with special needs about to start school and you're wondering, do they need a wheelchair or not? Because your child can walk with a simple handheld walker or with their hands held, and really we're working towards getting them walking independently with no aids. Hi there, it's Neesha from My Favorite Physio. In today's video, I'm jumping in to talk about the pros and cons and weighing out if your child needs a wheelchair when they start school next year. So here at My Favorite Physio, we see lots of little ones with special needs, and many of our little ones are starting school. And the debate about having a wheelchair or not comes about because often the occupational therapist will say you need a wheelchair if your child is not walking without any aids. But here at My Favorite Physio, we have a little bit of a different approach. We like to think about what's the long-term goals. So when we talk about wheelchairs, we're thinking, here's the questions you need to ask yourself. One, are you able to take your child to school or not? Do they need to actually use a school bus or a transportation to go to school that's not your own car? If that's the case, they need to be on the school bus. They would probably need a wheelchair to transport them in if they're not able to sit upright by themselves in the school bus. Otherwise, if you're choosing to actually drop your child at school and pick them up yourselves, then you might not actually need a wheelchair at all if your child is actually capable of walking with a simple walker or with their hands held, because we're working towards them walking independently. What you do need is perhaps a more supportive car seat for your child in your car. The problem with having a wheelchair when a child is able to walk is often you might find that they end up being in the wheelchair for a lot of the school day, versus if they could walk with their simple walker, then they're getting more practice walking around the classroom. The other thing about having a wheelchair is when your child is able to walk, being strapped in a wheelchair means they're dependent on someone to release them out of the wheelchair, taking away that little bit more independence for them when they could perhaps be learning to walk with their walker to what's a chair and sit themselves down, and then to get up from the chair whenever they desire. So that freedom of choice is perhaps more important. Yes, it can be a little bit more time consuming for teachers to have to walk by your child. However, I think we need to weigh out where are we heading, because the child may be able to gain independence and walk without a walking aid if they got more opportunity to practice walking. Now, on the other hand, if your child gets fatigued a lot, then the school is saying, let's get a wheelchair so she gets to rest. Well, there's other alternatives. Perhaps we could get a supported sitting system that has an indoor base or an outdoor base that allows them to be pushed around if they're going for long excursions or if they're having a bad day. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a wheelchair, but there are other options available. So I thought I would jump in there and give you some options and questions to think about if your child with special needs is just at that point of about to start school in a year or so, or perhaps even as quick as next year. Now, the issue with not having a wheelchair prescription already ready is that it does take a while to get wheelchairs ordered and funded for. So if you're in that situation where your child is perhaps starting school in the next year or in another year's time, those are questions to start thinking and asking about, because wheelchair funding can take a while, and getting wheelchairs customized and made takes time for it to be actually even delivered. So if you have any questions about your little one with special needs about to start school in a year or two, what you should do is to give us a ring here at My Favorite Physio. Speak to one of our expert pediatric physiotherapists. The number to ring is 02-9790-4233. And if you know somebody out there who's got a little one with special needs about to start school, why don't you like and share this video with them? Until next time, have a brilliant day. Bye.